It's definitely different from how other states have introduced it, but it reflects really the reality of Oklahoma and legal gaming in Oklahoma in that it is a very tribal controlled industry.
In tonight's Big Story Breakdown, we are digging into sports betting. An industry analyst is weighing in on the bill that would allow betting on the Oklahoma City Thunder. The state Senate approved the bill just yesterday.
Fox 25's Tom Ferguson joins us live. Tom, it sounds like this proposal is a little more specific than whether or not people can bet in general in the state.
Adam and Wendy, that's correct. Senate Bill 585 just concerns letting an NBA team, namely the Oklahoma City Thunder, license sports betting on non-tribal land. Now, this follows multiple failed attempts over the years to bring sports betting to Oklahoma.
If you want to bet on the outcome of a Thunder game, you'd currently have to go outside Oklahoma, but Senate Bill 585 aims to change that. Senate approval of the measure was not overwhelming, but it still made it through that initial hurdle.
Am I surprised to see movement on it? Yes. Am I, shocked? Not fall down, surprised? No, not necessarily, just because we've been seeing just so much discussion.
According to Jeff Zakodny, senior news analyst with the sports betting focused outlet Covers.com, this bill would let the Thunder partner with a sports book like DraftKings or FanDuel for bets placed on non-tribal land. Zakodny said the tribes would be able to, in turn, offer Thunder betting on their lands.
It is reflecting that there are more tribal stakeholders involved in this, perhaps, than in other states.
So, according to Zakodny, those betting on a game would use a different platform or app depending on where they are in the state.
It's complex, but it is something that we've seen with technology is manageable.
We reached out to the Oklahoma Indian Gaming Association to see what that organization had to say about the proposal. A spokeswoman declined to comment on SB 585 specifically, but referred us to a Monday statement on sports betting bills making their way through the Capitol. According to that statement, the OIGA sent lawmakers recommendations on two other pieces of legislation, Senate Bill 125 and House Bill 1047. The OIGA chairman said, quote, "While we are not finished having our internal discussions around potential future forms of gaming, we think that our proposed language is a great first step to bring legal sports betting to our gaming customers." The big question now, will SB 585 make it across the finish line?
I'm still pessimistic, but I'm more optimistic than I have been in the past.
And it remains unclear whether the Oklahoma House will now take up SB 585, but we'll be keeping tabs on how all this unfolds. Live in Oklahoma City, Tom Ferguson, Fox 25 News.
Thank you, Tom. And Governor Kevin Stitt says he still isn't a fan of any sports betting bills Oklahoma lawmakers are currently considering.
Fox 25's David Chazanoff joins us live after speaking with the governor. So, David, tell us, why doesn't he like this legislation?
Adam, Wendy, here at the Capitol, Governor Stitt tells me these bills only benefit the tribes and not Oklahomans.
There's no possible way that I'm going to let one industry come into this building, give someone a sheet of paper and say, run this bill. I think that's the height of corruption. It's unbelievable.
Oklahoma lawmakers are considering two sports betting bills, one of which would allow the Oklahoma City Thunder to receive a gaming license for sports betting. The other proposal would allow tribes who have entered into a compact with the state to offer sports betting.
None of those bills that have moved off the floors of the House or Senate have got my input on them. Matter of fact, they've excluded the governor of the state of Oklahoma from these discussions.
Governor Stitt says he's fine with sports betting, but it has to be what he calls a free market solution. One example being if a tribe wants to do statewide mobile betting, they'd have to pay $500,000 just like everyone else.
This isn't complicated. You simply create the program that other states do, and you can roll that out. That was the plan that I put forward, and unfortunately, those aren't the two bills that are moving across the Senate. These are tribal push bills that are only going to benefit the tribes and not the citizens of Oklahoma.
Governor Stitt says when a bill comes to his desk that's inspired by industry-specific people, he's not going to sign it. Reporting live at the state capitol, David Chazanoff, Fox 25 News.
Thank you, David. And as of February, sports betting legal in 39 states, according to the American Gambling Association. So take a look at this map. You can see Oklahoma is one of the only states isn't the only state, in our area that hasn't legalized it yet, especially when we go to sports betting. Boom, right there in the white. It's currently illegal in Texas and Missouri, lots of places around us. Meanwhile, all the states in New England, they've legalized it, and you can see several of Oklahoma's surrounding states like New Mexico, Arkansas, and Kansas as well. So let's take a look at Kansas, due north. Let's see what they're bringing in here. The gross gaming revenue, about $182 million. Sports betting taxes bring in $10 million. The state currently has 11 legal online operators. Now, the overall economic impact of sports betting nationwide, it's over $328 billion, while the tax impact and tribal revenue share is $52.7 billion. The industry also supports just little less than 2 million jobs.
In the United States, there is growing support for sports gambling. The American Gambling Association's 2024 American Attitude Survey found 75% of Americans support legal sports wagering in their home state. 90% view sports betting as an acceptable form of entertainment. Since the Supreme Court struck down the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act in 2018, we have seen states work to launch legal sports betting markets to expand consumer access to safe and regulated options. Now, the American Gaming Association estimates Americans legally bet more than $1.3 billion on this year's Super Bowl. And with March Madness, they expect people will be wagering over $3 billion.
So these big events have everybody looking for an edge. And Tom Bosco with our sister station in Columbus shows us how some are looking to artificial intelligence to try to help increase their odds.
Look online and you'll find tutorials of how to use AI to beat the odds. Individual bettors can plug in stats for their favorite team or players, or it can ask a program like ChatGPT to analyze the data that's already out there. So let's experiment and see what the difference would be if we ask Google to make a prediction or if we ask ChatGPT, which is powered by AI, to make predictions that we could possibly bet on. Let's do one about Pat Mahomes and touchdown passes. How many? Google will merely link you to sports stories about Pat Mahomes and to the statistics itself, but it won't make a prediction. Now let's ask the same question of ChatGPT. How many touchdowns? So ChatGPT forecasting Mahomes to throw about 2 touchdown passes in the Super Bowl. That's certainly information you can use to place a bet. So ChatGPT is going to crunch those numbers for you after finding the information, whereas Google simply just finds the information and has you crunch the numbers and make determinations yourself.
To calculate EV, we take AI probability of winning times the bet payout.
Plus, professional handicappers are using AI to sell you betting tips.
They're, charging a premium for this, almost like quote-unquote insider information.
But McDowell says it's a zero-sum game, with the casinos and sports books likely using AI to keep players from winning.
It's just this continual back and forth in terms of a betting arms race, if you will, with AI. So nothing's really changed in terms of betting.
It's an advertising trick like we see with a lot of advertising tricks.
Derek Longmire of the Problem Gambling Network of Ohio says his agency is using AI too to better help problem gamblers.
As we look at calls that we get, they can be all over the place. So that's where one of the benefits of AI can come in is if you have kind of that, if they answer this way, then it's going to be this response. It's a really savvy way to get some nuanced phone calls that you might not get in other ways.
Artificial intelligence is still new enough that there are no real numbers on how many bettors or sports books using it for sports gambling.
So there's not a clear winner and there's not a clear loser at this point.
But both experts say the same thing. Long-term winning at sports is not realistic.
The odds of you winning are not as great as the house winning. The focus should be on having fun and not trying to make money because, again, the odds are not in your favor.
It's really the same it's always been, and most likely the house is going to win.
Tom Bosco reporting there. So how did ChatGPT do with its bets for the Super Bowl game? ChatGPT asked how many touchdowns Mahomes would throw. It said 2, then revised that to 3. He actually did throw 3. ChatGPT predicted Saquon Barkley would rush for 103 yards, rush for 57, and GPT predicted there would be 48.5 points scored in the game. There were 62 points combined during the game. People even bet on how long the national anthem would last. ChatGPT predicted it would last around 2 minutes and 2 minutes and 15 seconds. John Batiste played for 2 minutes on the nose. That was your big story breakdown. You can head to OKCFox.com to learn more about the efforts to legalize sports betting in Oklahoma.